Last time out, Ms. Ellie bulldozed Jock into letting Bobby run Ewing Oil, hoping that Bobby would continue to live at the ranch. As she'd hoped, Bobby developed a taste for the business world.
Hell, there are other banks.
But that left both Pamela and JR out in the cold. Bobby is ecstatic about buying a refinery, but Pamela rains on his parade by reminding him that he promised he'd just tend to the company while JR is convalescing.
JR is going to be especially pleased when he takes the company back over.
Ray pulls up to talk to Bobby, allowing Pam to escape in her Porsche, which is cute, but I will always be fond of the Corvette. Ray says Bobby hasn't been around to help run the ranch, so things are falling through the cracks. Jock and JR also want a piece of Bobby. Turns out he sold off some Ewing assets to purchase that refinery, and he didn't check with Jock first. Bobby rightly implies that JR never needed pre-clearance to make a deal. But in fairness to Jock, this is probably a new rule that was instituted because of JR.
Anybody gonna say something like, "Thank you, JR, for making us billionaires"?
Bobby storms off, and Ray sheepishly defends him in a nice moment of solidarity. Both Ewing parents feel caught in the middle, with Ellie having to defend Jock's decision to keep Bobby in charge to Sue Ellen. Sue Ellen, by the way, has gone way overboard in her advocacy for JR. At the store, Employee of the Year Pamela Barnes
I didn't feel like working, so I just drove around all day.
is busy taking personal calls from the private investigators she hired to find her possibly still alive mother. The PI, John Mackey, is played by Richard Hurd, one of 3 great character actors making their debut in this episode. He's probably most famous for playing George Costanza's supervisor, Mr. Wilhelm, on Seinfeld.
I'm here to clean the carpets. Most of the world is carpeted, and one day we will do the cleaning.
Despite Jock and JR's objections, Bobby continues swinging deals. In this case, he makes a deal with Eugene Bullock, or rather Eugene's wife Sally. It should be noted that Joanna Cassidy, our second great character actress, has taken over the role of Sally starting in this episode, and she actually plays Sally like a businesswoman, rather than the brothel madam that Andra Akers did in Return Engagements. But don't get me wrong, she's still inappropriately horny for this deal. JR arrives at the office a moment too late to meddle, and tells Bobby he'll be taking it from here on out. He outright tells Bobby he's in over his head, despite his early successes.
That president's chair is too big for you, Bobby.
Jock and Ray take their minds off their Bobby troubles with a trip to the cattle auction. The serenity is shattered by longtime Ewing buddy Punk Anderson, who is pleased as Christmas punch to catch up with Jock. It's hard to fathom this now, given how entangled Punk is in Dallas lore, but here he is making his debut in Season 4, and giving us our third highly visible character actor in Morgan Woodward.
Jock, how's Miss Ellie and those 2 sons of yours?
Sorry, bro.
Sue Ellen vents to Dr. Elby about Bobby's betrayal of her when she needed him most. And now he's trying to screw over JR, who is a totally changed person, totally different, responsible, loyal. Meanwhile, JR and recently married Luella are enjoying a drink together. He asks her to spy on Bobby for him until he gets back to the office full time. He also makes a sex date with her since her new husband is on the road so much.
JR is a totally different person now.
That night, Lucy asks permission to set up a weekend barbecue so that everyone can meet Mitch. Sue Ellen has the ovaries to pipe up about Lucy's love life, to which Lucy returns an overhand smash of a comeback.
Well, we can't all be as fortunate as you, Sue Ellen.
Jock and Ellie kvetch about the boys being at each other's throats all the time. Ellie is worried that Jock will chase Bobby off the ranch again, but Jock rightly tells her that JR stayed behind to run Ewing Oil like a responsible man, instead of running off to sow his oats like Bobby. Jock's version of events recalls the parable of the prodigal son from the Gospel of Luke. To summarize, a man had 2 sons. The younger son asked for his inheritance in advance and squandered it in a foreign land, while the oldest son stayed behind to work the farm. When the younger son returned to beg forgiveness for being selfish and gluttonous, the father welcomed him back with open arms and even celebrated his return. The jealous older brother, who had been nothing but loyal, demanded to know why he never got a celebration when he did everything he was supposed to do. The father responded that the youngest son was lost, akin to being dead, and his return means that he's been found. The moral of the story is that if you're on the fence, you should probably just do your drinking, smoking, and whoring anyway, because you can always ask for forgiveness later. Or maybe I'm misinterpreting that. Anyway, Jock seems to be more pragmatic than the farmer, thinking that he should return JR's loyalty. Meanwhile, JR meets with Sally Bullock and plots some evil.
Man, just look how happy he is.
Bobby finally has a heart-to-heart with Sue Ellen. She accuses him of stealing Ewing Oil from JR, which confuses Bobby because Sue Ellen begged him to stop JR several times. Pamela also gives him static when he downplays the news that her mother may still be alive. This is like a Bobby Ewing episode of Curb Your Enthusiasm.
I know that Ewing Oil needs all your concentration.
Cliff is also nonplussed about the news of their mother's fate. After all, she ran out on Digger and left them.
Yeah, boy!
We also get another in an ever-evolving series of reasons why Bobby and Pam can't really settle down and start a family. This time, Pamela needs to explore her roots. Maybe she should try Germac.
Is your hair dried out from coloring or perming? Try combing your conditioner through before you rinse. Get it everywhere.
Salon secrets from Germac. Dried out hair.
Germac's hair care experts know dry hair is thirsty for rich moisturizers, and Germac EFA shampoo and conditioner have got them. They're the key to soft, sexy hair. So go ahead, color your hair, perm it. It's okay. Just use EFA, Germac's salon secret for dried out hair. And try using extra conditioner on the ends. That's my secret.
At the auction, Jock, Punk, and the boys all settle in for a beer and some dealing. Punk wants Jock to come in on a deal to buy some swampland near Louisiana and turn it into a resort. While they're dealing, an old unkempt rummy notices Ray and Jock.
His name's Krebbs. It's Ray Krebbs.
Mitch is shocked by the size of the barbecue and the sheer number of Lucy's impossibly attractive extras. Friends. And we get another appearance from Janine Turner as Lucy's friend Susan, who hits on Mitch poolside. Mitch overcomes his aversion to crowds long enough to cavort with Lucy and Susan, but when the rich boy guests start to big-time him, he feels out of place. This is another in a long line of red flags where Mitch shows he's too intimidated by Lucy's money, and also too proud to accept any of it. Lucy tries to apologize before rightly realizing that Mitch is being an unreasonable asshole about things and he just needs to get over himself. Meanwhile, Bobby seals the deal to sell Eugene Bullock's oil to a chain of gas stations, and he promises that it will be there on time. After all, Sally Bullock guaranteed it was on its way from Venezuela. Should be here in a few days. No problem. And Bobby never goes back on his word.
Bobby, look what he did to Seth Stone. What chance do I have?
I'll stop him.
At the ranch, Jock tells JR Bobby is doing such a stellar job, he wants to keep him on board permanently. JR feigns happiness, feigning misery, feigning gloating, which is 3 layers of deception deep. That's really impressive. He's almost back at full strength now. Of course, you'd think he'd be upset, but he knows Bobby's crude isn't going to come in on time after all. Somehow. Pamela walks in on Bobby and Connie celebrating the Venezuelan deal, and also gets to witness Bobby finding out that the deal has fallen through. The tanker has sunk. 600,000 barrels of oil right into the ocean. Bobby is mostly concerned about the environmental impact, of course, but after that...
$18 million.
And we're out. JR wasn't kidding when he said he'd kill Ewing Oil before he let Bobby run it. This whole episode revolves around JR knocking over the building blocks of Bobby's prize refinery deal, and doing so gleefully. The episode sets up a number of pins that will be knocked down over the next few episodes. JR's dalliance with Luella is set up here. Lucy and Mitch's relationship hits a turning point. Pamela's tip about her mother will eventually pay off. The Venezuelan tanker fiasco results in fireworks. And of course, the identity of the mystery man in the bar will have major implications throughout the rest of the show's run. But the episode isn't all set up. It revisits a lot of those loose threads from earlier episodes, like Bobby leaving Sue Ellen in the lurch, and Pam and Cliff's separate experiences at finding out their only biological connection is through their mother. The episode does a fine job balancing both the past and the future, and the fight between the Ewing boys is about to escalate big time.